This is The Filter on iHeart Podcasts Canada.
Hello, this is Shannon, and I just had such a fun conversation with the Halluci Nation. Tim and Bear make up the group, and they are really doing it like no one else these days. They just came out with a series of new songs, an EP called Path of the Babyface, which is a follow-up to their last EP, which is Path of the Heel. So we talk about that. We talk about Indigenous artists who are killing it right now in Canadian music and how Indigenous music in Canada has been growing so much in the last couple years, and everything that they're up to lately. They have a tour that's on the way and so much incredible music that is weirdly inspired by a lot of wrestling. So we'll get into that in this conversation. Hey guys, it's Shannon from iHeartRadio Canada here with Tim and Bear. Hi guys.
Hey.
How are we feeling?
Doing good?
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, coming off a few exciting days too. A lot of new things out, and have you guys been keeping busy?
Oh yeah, super busy. You know, we just had the new release and getting ready to hit the road tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
So, yeah, we're just in some rehearsals here for a couple days.
Nice. How's the rehearsals been going?
Yeah, everything's been good. Like we've been, we've been injecting like all the new stuff we've been doing, and we've been in the studio quite a bit. So we like to test run songs before we release them as well. So just trying to figure out like a good, fun, new energy set.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's got to be cool too, to like figure out how to put the show together each and every time. Because I've heard you say that every show that you do is different, right? Like there's always new things that are happening. If I were to bring up like your best show, is there one that comes to mind, or like a few shows that you think of, or is it hard to say?
Yeah, it's always such a hard one. It's like the best shows are usually the last ones that we did.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or like, like we have really good shows in like 100 room capacities, and then we've like the one in downtown Toronto was really good too. Like we played at the the City Hall. We did like a really big show there. It was really big, memorable.
Nice. That's got to be cool to like feed off the crowd as well, because I can imagine people in the audience just go nuts for your music. So
that's a huge part of the performance, right? Is that reciprocal exchange of energy with the crowd, and the more excited and the more they're giving us, the more we can put back out.
Totally. How is seeing the reaction from fans as well online when you come out with new music? Because I can imagine that's got to be fun just to go through the comments and see what everyone's saying.
Yeah. I've been getting texts even from people or DMs from people saying like, oh, Canadian Destroyer is my jam, or it's we work on these records like for years sometimes, and it's nice to like release something and then to get that energy back is always super exciting.
Yeah, take me into the journey too, because you came out with Path of the Heel, and then you're coming out with this, which is Path of the Babyface. So take me on that journey, how you go from there to here.
I mean, it's an ongoing story we've been kind of telling over years with the Halluci Nation, starting all the way back with our Suplex EP, which was kind of our first wrestling project that we did. And we always wanted to get back to it and do another one. So that's where the idea of Path of the Babyface and Path of the Heel came from, was kind of extending that story that we had planted the seeds for so many years ago. And when you look at the story that we were telling in Suplex, in the video for Suplex, it was a lot about having a native wrestler who succeeded on his own terms and didn't necessarily have to conform to the kind of stereotypes that are always there in wrestling. And then fast forward to now, working on this project, and we met a wrestler who's in our latest video named Sebastian Wolf. And we met him and found out his walkout music is one of our songs.
Sick.
And as we got to know him, realized that he is that wrestler. He is that native wrestler who has gone on to be successful on his own terms and using his culture and his values in his character as well. Like it's in there in the ring.
Wow, that's so sick. Yeah, tell me about the video for Sharpshooter, because that's all the wrestling is. That's so sick. It's so cool.
Yeah, we got we did a wrestling tour, or not a tour with F'd Up. And can you swear here?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. We did a tour with Fucked Up, and because we're really big friends with Damien, and we ended up adding No Ring Wrestling into the show. So we got connected through all these wrestlers around. That's where we met Sebastian, and it somehow like I don't know how to explain it, but like it was a huge success.
Yeah.
And then like that started the whole idea, I guess, of us like getting together, all the characters starting to get in there, and then Bear had an idea.
Well, we had with the We Are the Hallucination album, there was this concept around us being the hallucination and our enemy being the ally nation. And we've taken that concept and translated it into wrestling terms. So now Tim and I are out there hunting for the hallucination tag team, our champions in the ring. And our good friend Damien, we've disagreed on who our champions are going to be. And we kind of went behind his back and signed our tag team. And he decided he had to have his tag team to go up against us, and that's the Ally Nation tag team. So we've created this whole thing where Damien's the heel, and we're the baby faces, and we're starting a rivalry together. And we pulled the biggest possible ally we could to the hallucination in getting Bret Hart on our side. And Bret, in the path of the baby face, or path of the heel, Damien cuts a promo coming at the hallucination. And now we got Bret Hart cutting a promo on Damien, telling him if he won't submit, he will break.
Nice. How do you get connected with Bret? How does that happen?
Well, we did a show in Alberta, Siksika, and before we even played, they were like, wait, we're gonna, we got something we want to show you. They played a video of Bret welcoming us to the territory and giving us well wishes and stuff, and then they presented us with a gold eagle belt, like the winged eagle belt, which is like his championship belt that he's iconic known for carrying, and he signed it, and then kind of was just like, all right, now there's the stage.
Like tears in our eyes.
Like, and now go perform.
And then his kids and friends of his have shown up at our shows and been told us that he really loves what we do, and so that's how we got to say, well, maybe we can get a chance to do something together. But I think Bret and the Hart family are so well known in wrestling, but I guess what people don't realize with Bret is that he's actually really close to the communities around where he's from, and that's how the connection in Siksika came about, is because they know him.
Right.
And so he was super supportive of us and what we're doing, even to the point where we asked him, okay, so we want to pay you for this. Obviously, he told us just to donate money in his name or in all of our names to one of the groups from the community close to him.
Wow.
And so we ended up donating money to a music program that's going to be a summer program for students in that community.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's so well. Did he already know that you were such fans of wrestling and all of that?
I think so.
Yeah.
Like we over the years since the Suplex EP, people have been cluing in that we're kind of wrestling fans.
Oh yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I feel like it's so much a part of your brand at this point. That's so great. And also how cool to bring music and that together. I feel like you're also introducing people to wrestling who are now becoming fans.
Well, Tim was mentioning the tour we did where we had wrestling at the shows, and watching this no ring wrestling happening in the crowd, especially people who aren't initiated to wrestling, and watching them get that pop of oh, this is what wrestling is.
Right.
And there's no better opening act. They brought the energy up in the room so much. It was an amazing experiment and experience.
That's wild.
Yeah, experiment for sure, because we even got our chance to be bookers in it. We got to pick the wrestlers. We got to be involved in how wrestling was going to play out throughout the show, because it weaved in and out of it. And and the finale was us fucked up and the wrestlers on stage singing our last song together, and the match ending.
That's so cool. All the more reason to go to your shows. I feel like nobody's doing it like you guys are doing it. Even before the wrestling stuff, you guys have always just been so original. So
yeah, that's a good thing about us. Especially working with Bear and being a collaborative effort. We're able to there's just no we support each other, and there's no rules. Kind of what we got. We can open creativeness. So experimenting is fun, and doing something like a wrestling EP is not out of the question, or a music video or wrestling shows. It's been a blast.
yeah. Do you feel like the creative juices have changed a bit, or do you think maybe even subconsciously you guys have changed in the way that you create since the name change? Because I feel like even without intentionally doing that might come up with changing the name.
No, that's literally part of the reason for the name change, was the change in the group, and that we had found ourselves so far from where we had started, that it was like, okay, we need to do a whole reset on who we are and what our persona even is in this world, because we're not where we were when we started. When we started, we were a group of club DJs, and our biggest kind of goals were being able to pay rent from a club night. And since then we've had to think a lot more about what we do, be much more intentional about what we do, be a lot more careful about what we do, all of those things, as well as what we've done personally, Tim and I. We've learned to how much we have to take care of each other, how much we have to look after one another, and all those things, because this life is, we were talking before about how much the job we get to do, the job you get to do, is these are not lives that we can complain about, but they're also not easy. And I think part of growing up as an artist is realizing that we do need to take care. And I think that whole process that Tim and I went through, becoming much closer, I don't know, there's like the level of trust and love in the group is beyond what it's ever been before. So all of those things played into how we create. Tim was saying, like, there's a freedom when you trust your partner as much as we do. We can go off on tangents. We know how far to let each other go, but we also have the trust to be pulled in by one another as well. So yeah, the creative process is very different, and that's what led to the name change.
Yeah, and then it's a big, we're honoring that the whole thing, we're honoring that, and also John giving us the Halluci Nation in work that we did on our 2016 project, right? And it's like when you live these words, and John kept coming back up for some reason, he's not with us anymore, but things that he said or works that he showed us started resonating with us in the present day, which is wild. So it felt like that was the right thing to do.
Yeah,
keeping John Trudell with us is super important.
Definitely. How do you feel like Indigenous music in Canada has even changed in the last 10 years? Do you feel like it's where you have been wanting it to go? Do you feel like there's a lot of work to be done?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jeremy Dutcher alone, just watching him fuse I guess traditional music, or just resurrecting music, or preserving whatever whatever he's doing and adding on to it, has been really, really inspiring, and then kind of watching him develop into what he's become has been it's super inspiring. It makes me want to create music differently and think differently.
Yeah, totally.
We're in our 18th year of this group now, and I think the entire landscape of Indigenous music has shifted since then. I think there were a lot of there were some outliers like us or Tanya Tagak and people who were doing really kind of different music, but I think when we started, it was largely blues, rock, a lot of hip hop. But since then, since we got into the scene, you're seeing everything. Tim brought up Jeremy. There is just the scope of music that's getting recognition in the Indigenous community now has really changed.
Yeah, and Snotty Nose winning Best Rap Album at the Juno, things like that. I'm like, okay, here we go. Things are happening. So
yeah, we're watching a lot of things become mainstream, like fashion, television. You've seen shows like Reservation Dogs. We worked on a show called Rutherford Falls. It's been insane to watch.
Yeah, we just had Anna Lamon from North by North. She is that new Netflix show. It's very cool to witness and to see for sure.
You're mentioning Snotty Nose winning the hip hop Juno, and congrats to them, definitely. But also Alyssa P this year winning in adult contemporary, and we're. Again, you were talking about the changing landscape, that when we came into this and we started applying for Junos outside of the Native category, that was a big deal. And now we're seeing every year, we're seeing more and more Native artists choosing to compete in whatever category they want. And now that they've split up the Indigenous Juno, and we have the traditional and contemporary, I think that was an amazing move, because it allows so much more competition in each of those categories, and people like, it was really weird, I thought, for a long time, where it's like you could have a drum group and a rap group competing for the same award.
Right.
But now that we have more opportunity, more of a scope of music that can get that recognition, as well as it being more accepted for Indigenous artists to compete at whatever level they feel is appropriate for them.
Yeah, and shout out Black Bear for winning as well.
Yeah, big time. Those are our like day one collaborators, and
Yeah, that's gotta be. And Northern Cree, they won too, didn't they?
they were nominated.
Oh, they were nominated,
Yeah.
but yeah, good to see that recognition. It reminds me a lot of like the Grammys, where they have the R&B category, and sometimes you'll see like certain pop artists in there, and you're like, why are you in the R&B category? So it's just like, I'm glad that these conversations are being had. And,
Yeah, 100%.
and all of that. I remember I was watching the trailer for the movie Killer of the Flower Moon, and then I was like listening to the music that was playing, and I thought, I recognize this. So how did that come about? How did your music get included?
I mean, it's one of those industry things, I think, where it's through sync agents and music coordinators and all of that. I think it came about in that sort of industry manner.
Yeah, and to now have so many fans who are now recognizing you, or I see online people commenting, being like, this is how I discovered you, and now I'm such a huge fan.
No, that was huge. And I think since we changed the name, that's not an easy process to do, and you definitely lose a lot of people when you do that. And having things like that trailer really put us, okay, the Halluci Nation is getting recognized just for being the Halluci Nation now.
Totally. That's so sweet. What are you most looking forward to that's coming up? You're doing some more shows on the way. Yeah, what else are you excited about?
Yeah, we're on tour for the next couple months, so that's going to be exciting. We're playing the West Coast right to the East Coast. It's been a while since we've been down the East Coast to Halifax, so it's going to be nice to go down there. But also, me and this guy's been in the studio for a while, and we have a lot of new music that's coming out, and we're celebrating, the path of the Babyface, and watching people go crazy for that. So it's like, the only thing I can say is like, we got way, way, way more coming.
Nice. Oh, that's so nice to hear. That's exciting. Thanks, guys, so much for being here. A pleasure to meet both of you. I'm such a fan, so it's so great.
Oh, thank you. It's great.
Yeah,
meeting
thank
you.
Thanks for listening to The Filter, an iHeart Podcasts Canada production. Subscribe to The Filter wherever you get your podcasts.